How is it going, everyone? It's Caleb Lumberty here, and today we're going to be doing a new series. This is something I'm going to start doing. This is basically going to be a video game topic series where I can basically just talk about whatever I want in terms of video game collecting, retro video games that are new, basically anything that I find interesting in the gaming sphere. This is what this series is going to be all for and all about. So I'm excited to start this, and I figured what's the best way to start it. I think the best way to start it is probably with my collection and just talking about like what my goal in video game collecting is. Because obviously I love video games. I collect a wide variety. If you've seen the reviews on my channel and stuff like that, or even just some of the shorts, you can see that I collect a decent variety of different systems and stuff like that. And I do have some goals in mind for what I want to do and what games I do want to get. The main goal for every system I have is to have basically 100 games for each system that I really enjoy. Now, if I go over and I get 105 or 120, that's not going to bother me, obviously, but the goal is at least 100 games for each system that I really enjoy. I'm not going for completions on any system or anything like that. I think completed systems, like people who have the complete collection for PS2 and the Wii and stuff like that, I think that's actually awesome. But it's not something I want to do because that runs into a lot of money, and a lot of times it's a lot of money for games that aren't that great, and that's just not my personal, I don't find that to be something I want to do, I think it's cool when other people do it, but I just don't want to do it personally because I just don't want to spend a lot of money on some really just random game that I just probably will never play. So for me, it's all about getting the games I really want, getting games I've never played before but look interesting, and just trying out new things that aren't going to break the budget either. I like trying new games, but I don't want to break the budget. The most I ever spent on a game that was pre-owned actually was The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which I literally just picked up yesterday. I literally just picked it up for $70, and that's the most I've ever spent on a pre-owned game. I don't like doing that. I like to try to find games cheaper than that, because, I personally believe you should never have to pay over MSRP for a video game. Unfortunately, some cases, it's just getting to the point where if you want to play the game, you're going to have to pay over MSRP. It's just kind of how it is, especially with Nintendo systems. But, anywho, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. Yeah, I want to collect 100 games for every system. The systems I mainly collect for, and the systems that I have the most games for right now, would be PS1 and PS2. I love the PlayStation 1 and PS2. I grew up with both of those systems. My first system was actually the Sega Saturn, but I really was more attached to the PlayStation 1 and the PlayStation 2 and the library that those games had, that those game systems had. And their games are still really affordable. I really enjoy collecting for the PS2 and the PS1, especially because there's a lot of great games that I've never played before that I'm still learning about, and I'm playing and reviewing for the channel and stuff like that. And there's also plenty of games that I did grow up with that I still love going back and playing, And the majority of the PlayStation 2 games are really cheap right now. You're talking about $10, per game for the stuff that I'm interested in. So that's pretty decent still. I know it's not the best deals in the world, but I mean, $10 a game isn't bad, especially when you're getting hours and hours of content out of them. When it comes to PS1, it's a little bit more expensive to collect for. It's getting more expensive. You can still find some decent games for around $10 to $15, but there are some games that are starting to get in that $20 range. And of course, there's always those random games that are just super expensive for really no good reason. But when it comes to PS1, I still find it pretty easy to collect for the PS1 with a budget. I still feel like it's very easy to do. I still feel like it's something that I can amass a big collection for without spending a ridiculous amount of money. So that's why I love those two systems. Now, those aren't the only two systems I collect for. Speaking of ridiculous amounts of money, we'll go over to affordable systems to not so affordable systems. I've started collecting for the GameCube. That is one of the systems that is not affordable to collect for. I just play the GameCube games on my Wii. I don't mind that too much. The system itself, I think, is $100-something right now, which isn't terrible, but still, it's definitely gone up over the years. But the video games for the GameCube are pricey. Like I said, Wind Waker cost me $70, and that's more than its original MSRP, and there's quite a few games that are usually going for more than their original price on the GameCube. I can think of, off the top of my head, Super Smash Bros. On the GameCube. That game is way more expensive now than it was when it first came out, and I don't really understand why. I don't understand why these games get these prices. Like, people put rare next to them on all these listings and stuff like that, and it's just like, these games are not rare. Like, I understand the GameCube didn't sell well, but there's games on the Sega Saturn and the Sega Saturn sold less than the GameCube, and it's, the game library for that, there's still games that are cheaper than things like Super Smash Brothers. Like, for some reason, I don't understand why Super Smash Brothers went that high in price right now, but yeah, I'm collecting for the GameCube. Long story short, I'm collecting for the GameCube, and I enjoy collecting for it. It's different, but it is hard to find good deals for the GameCube. The majority of the games for that system are around $20 to $30, which sucks, especially because a lot of the games that I like are also third-party games. They're games that are multi-platform, and they're just cheaper to get on the PS2 or the original Xbox. And at that point, it's just like, okay, do I get it because, it's on GameCube, or do I just pay the cheaper price and get it on PS2? Personally, I just pay the cheaper price and get it on PS2 unless it's just, about the same price on both systems. But I try to usually just get on PS2 because it's usually cheaper. I love collecting for the GameCube. It's a really fun system. I never had one growing up. I had friends that had it, and we would go play Super Monkey Ball on it all the time. But it's something that I'm collecting and getting into as an adult, and there's definitely games that I missed on it that I'm wanting to play. I have Paper Mario. I have Paper Mario on it, and I need to go through that. Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. I really want to play through that too, especially because the new version got heavily censored, so I really want to play through the original version instead of the new version, and I'm glad I picked it up because that game is also going up in price. But yeah, I love the GameCube. I've started collecting for that. Other systems that I collect for, obviously, I talked about how I played my GameCube games on the Wii, so I do collect games for the Wii. Though that system's really easy to collect for. The majority of games on that are really, really cheap. Every now and then you run across one that's a little bit pricey, but for the most part, the games are still really cheap for the Wii, and it's a great system to collect for, because it has some really good games on it, especially games like Mario Party, or the Super Mario Galaxy games. Those are great games, and they're pretty cheap still. Or at least they're still affordable, I should say. Now, I do collect for some current systems. I collect for the Nintendo Switch. I do like the Nintendo Switch. It's my favorite modern system. I don't really like modern video games a whole lot, but the Nintendo Switch is the one system that I still really love, and I'll probably pick up the Switch 2 when that comes out also, because as long as they keep making physical media for it and they keep caring about physical media, I'll keep buying the systems. That's all it's about for me. If I can own my games and play my games, I'm happy. So that's all I really want from the Switch 2. Just give me backwards compatibility and give me physical cartridges. That's all I want. So yeah, I collect for the Switch. I do really like the Switch. I like the cases and everything for them. I like the little cartridges and everything. It's fun to collect for, and games for are very mixed right now since it's a modern system, obviously. You can find some games for a decent price. Usually when it's an actual Nintendo first-party game, usually you're looking at the lowest $40. That's if you're kind of lucky and you get it on sale or you get it used or something like that. They usually drop to around $40, and that's about the biggest discount you're going to get on a current-gen Nintendo game. Now, I do have an Xbox Series X, and I have a hard time collecting for it because I just don't love it. I just don't love the system, and I don't love the fact that Microsoft doesn't care about physical media, so it makes it really hard to collect for that system. It's a system that I actually have quite a few digital games on, and the only reason I have digital games on it is because I buy them when they're on deep, deep discount. If a game drops down to $5 that was originally $40-something, yeah, I'll pick it up, because at that point, who cares if if I lose access to it? I spent $5 on it. But I don't buy $60 games for the Xbox, because I just don't I just don't like the way they do physical media, because I don't trust them to keep supporting it, and it's kind of hard to just keep it's hard to give Microsoft my money right now, because I don't feel like they want to support physical media, and I really don't want to support a company that's not going to support physical media. So I do own an Xbox. I don't collect much for it. I probably should collect a little bit more for it, but I really just don't. I need to. I get it, but it's difficult. It's difficult for me. Now, I do have an Xbox 360, and I have a PS3 also. You know, I have that generation, and I love that generation. I collect video games for that as well. I like the PS3 actually more than I do the Xbox 360 these days. You know, growing up, I had the 360 instead of a PS3, and then as I got older, I picked up a PS3, and I was just like, wow, this is actually, you know, more... This is the preferred system for me, actually. The PS3 has just things that I'm interested in. It has a lot more things that I'm interested in. And overall, I just think that it was a better system in terms of backwards compatibility also, because it has the entire PlayStation 1 library, which is awesome. You can play all the PS1 games in HD, which, yeah, I love that. But yeah, they both are great systems. I do collect for both. And when it comes to PS3 and Xbox 360, the games for them are still pretty cheap, $10 to $20. And usually whenever I'm picking up a game, whatever system it's cheaper on, I pick it up for that system. And that's usually how I go about it. And it seems like a lot of the first-party games right now are still pretty cheap for it. Like Little Big Planet games, those are like $10 a piece still. I see, Resistance, Fall of Man. I see that game, like all three of the games. I see them all for $10 a piece usually. Same with Killzone and God of War 3 and stuff like that. So a lot of the first-party games are still pretty cheap for the PS3. And same with the Xbox 360. If you want ODST or if you want Halo 3 or something like that, you're looking around $10 for it, which isn't too bad still. There's a few random games, just like every system, that are pricey, but still. But those are the main systems I collect for. The only other system I do collect for is the Sega Genesis. And I love the Sega Genesis. It is a great system, but I don't always have it plugged up. It's more of a space issue for me. You know, I have a PS3, I have a 360, have a PS2, Xbox Series X, a Wii, a Switch. You know, I don't want to have to hook up another system, and then it has a huge, like, you know, it's where you plug it in, it has just a huge brick that you have to plug into the wall or into the power, you know, a surge protector or whatever, and it's just too much. It's too much to have plugged up at one time, and I don't have my systems all hooked up at one time either, by the way, but that one, it's especially is just clunky compared to the rest of them, and I love a lot of the games on the Genesis, but it's just not something that I'm actively collecting for. I have a small collection, but I'm not really going out of my way to look for more Genesis stuff. If I come across something interesting, I may pick it up, but it has to be pretty affordable. I'm not going to pick up something expensive for it. It just has to be something that catches my eye and that's cheap, basically. There are some good games for it, though. The Tiny Toons games on the Genesis are really good, actually. And I have actually a few modded cartridges, which are really cool. I have a Streets of Rage 2, I think it's Streets of Rage 2, modded cartridge, which is pretty cool. I have a Sonic.exe modded cartridge, which is really cool. I've actually played that for Halloween one year. And I also have a, it's like this carnival game. It's like a horror game, but it's based in carnival and stuff like that. And I guess it was on Sega, something called like Sega TV back in the day, or it was like some sort of weird, you know, broadcasting channel they had where you could play video games. I don't know. I would have to look into it again because it's been a while since I've looked into it. But basically, it was never actually, I don't think, on a cartridge, and basically someone put it on a cartridge and I was able to play it. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, overall, I guess this was supposed to be my goals of collecting. My goals in collecting, I want to collect 100 video games for each system at least. And I want to try to do it affordably. That's my goal. I guess I could have just said that from the beginning of the video. But hey, you know what? This is a Calamity video. I go on just, random... I blabber. Okay, I blabber. I rant. I just... I lose track of where I'm going. And it just is what it is. That's just how I do. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your video game goals are. Like, what systems do you collect for? What is your goal? Are you a completionist? Are you just trying to get the stuff that you enjoy? Let me know in the comments down below. I always like hearing from other people who collect video games and enjoy the hobby. So I'm always interested to hear what you guys think. So I'll talk to you in the next video. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.